All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome into another edition of the Hockey Night on Board Flyers pregame show. Tonight, the Philadelphia Flyers take on the Tampa Bay Lightning as they meet up for the second of three meetings, going back to, actually the second of three meetings tonight as they play in their second game, and also maybe this is their sixth game on this seven-game homestand as they take on Tampa Bay here tonight in South Philadelphia. Once again, a pleasant good afternoon, a pleasant good evening, everybody. Welcome into another edition of the Hockey Night on Board Flyers pregame show. I'm your host, James Scorza, with you for the next 15 minutes or so. Well, the Philadelphia Flyers are going to try to hopefully get back on track here tonight after two games that could have gone easily in their favor, but a lot to get to in this night. I would say we can recap this previous game, but it was probably more of the factor is that we can try to recap this previous game because apparently the Flyers look like they had the same kind of flaws they had in the previous matchup against Winnipeg and many more games, including like that. So for the most important thing here in this game here tonight, as I get into the recap of the previous game, as we check out a comment here, we check out Daniel checks into our show. What's going on, Dan? How you doing, buddy? Thanks for chiming in, my friend. So this is probably one of the games here tonight that I actually tried to recap this previous game. Man, just there's so much to unpack here, obviously. Well, if you did not know about it, the first couple seconds of the game did not take long for the Flyers. Or for the who were they playing? Ottawa. They played Ottawa on Tuesday night, so I'm trying to figure out like what happened in this game because it was such a blur about what happened, but more importantly than anything like that, it just only took basically, if I can go back to my recap of the game before that, if I can like redraw my memory here, because these games have not been easy for the Flyers, gonna admit, and maybe I could try to retrace my steps here. All right, so the first period came for the Flyers, and it was basically did not take long for the Senators to open up the game, and it only took less than 20 seconds into the game, former Flyer captain Claude Giroux setting the tone as he set up Matthew Tkachuk to make it a 1-0 lead for the Senators. The good news about that, it was the one thing that was a positive in this game, and the one thing that was very, very positive, especially in a game that was much needed for the Flyers to get a win. It looked to me that Tyson Foerster played very well in this game. For me, if it's only one guy that was good out of the majority of the team, that tells you all you need to know about what kind of a losing streak this team has had. But the big story in that game was that the Flyers could not clear the puck in that game. They tried to do whatever they can to get back some opportunities, but the Senators kept on coughing. The Flyers kept on coughing the puck up to the Senators. And right then and there, it was like just a lousy first period again for the Orange and Black. But the good news is that if you probably saw my pregame show on Tuesday night, it was a good friend of mine, Austin Hamill, checking in to do the pregame show for me tonight. And he said something about JB Drysdale that needs to step up, or who's trending up and who's trending down topic of the night. And so he got the Flyers on the board to make it a 2-1 or tied his score up at 1-1. But once again, it was the Senators getting back into favor once again, and it was that just took only a minute later for them to recapture the lead at 2-1. And there was a time, and then the Flyers tied the game as Rodrigo Abels made it a tied game up at 2-2 to equalize the score right there. But a very good chance for the penalty kill to get back on track here. And right when the Flyers thought they were getting back momentum, it was the Senators once again, and basically after that, it was all we need to know after that, after a good penalty kill, and then once again, Ottawa recapturing the lead and stayed that way along the way, and that's how the Flyers lost once again, and basically this losing streak continues to expand more and more, especially if you're playing at home. You would have thought they would have had an opportunity to get back on track, but once again, they lost this night, on this Tuesday night, in South Philadelphia. All right, let's get into our key matchups of this game here tonight for the Flyers. So I know this is a topic that I've been talking about over and over and over again, but it's starting to wonder me now about what this Flyers team has done. Obviously, you thought about what happened in the trade deadline, that they traded away Scott Long in exchange for a couple picks in the draft. They traded away Andrei Kuzmenko to the Kings. And looks to me, Kuzmenko is actually playing very well for the Kings. He's on the top line right now for that Kings lineup. As I just watched on HBO, never before I got on here, it looked to me he's doing very well up at Los Angeles. So I would think that was probably a little bit of a hit and miss. But the one thing that was a hit and miss too that the Flyers could have gotten in a trade, unfortunately, we saw him on Tuesday night as well, and that was Dylan Cousins of the Senators getting traded away from the Sabres to Ottawa. And it looked to me that the Flyers were just too much of a head. I mean, the Flyers just tried to. Man, I mean, it's so hard to talk about these key matchups in this game. It kind of sound like you're saying, like you're repeating yourself over and over and over again. So for me, I guess tonight is just in the words of Adrian of Rocky would say, just win, just win. That's all I have to say about this. I mean, there's not a lot to be saying. I mean, but the one thing I would say, though, if the Flyers could get back on track here tonight, because after tonight, you would have thought, okay, they'll have a little bit of a positive to go one step further. Then they got Carolina coming into town on Saturday night, which, by the way, that could be another cause for concern. Then you look at Tampa, who's right now looking to try to get back into a postseason push here after getting two good players in the not in the offseason, two players in the trade deadline, as they got Oliver Bjorkstrand and also Yanni Gourde coming back to the Lightning. So they'll be back in the lineup tonight to see what they look like. And also, they also played very well against a couple teams before this game here tonight. Also, you saw Jake Gensel like a couple weeks around last week, getting himself a hat trick in the game against the Sabres. And Tampa Bay is one of those teams that is very good. I mean, they've been very good for a very long time. They are a two-time Stanley Cup champion for a reason. Obviously, Steven Stamkos isn't there anymore. But the players they brought in, like I brought up, like Bjorkstrand, Yanni Gourde, Victor Hedman, and even more like even Jake Gensel, the list goes on. And even like a Nick Paul, for example, too. Like they find, and even like Braden Point has been playing very well for them too. So for me, if they can try to control these big group of guys that they have on this Lightning team, that will be a little bit understandable for the Flyers to have what they have in store. But Tampa Bay is one of those teams that you're going to be looking at in the postseason. It's going to be like, yep, they're just that good again. And right now, I think they're tied with. I'm not tied, but I think I forget what their like schedule. I don't know. I forget where they're at in the Eastern Conference and also where they are in the Atlantic Division. So I would guess it will be the Carolina Hurricanes and the. Actually, no, not Carolina. They're in the Metro. I keep on forgetting they're in the Metro sometimes. But they're a very, very good team that somehow in some way that tonight's going to be a real cause for concern for the Flyers after you lose a lot of big games in this. Like, I mean, you would have thought this 7-game homestand would have been something positive for the Flyers to get back on track. And like I mentioned, in these games, like I brought up, like the back-to-back games on Saturday and Sunday between Seattle and the Devils. I mean, those were games that could have easily gone in the favor of the Flyers, but instead it was just that they were just not good in those games. And it continued to show once again on Tuesday night. And for more importantly than anything like that, if you want to try to get back on track here in this game here tonight, you have to win these games that you have to play on your schedule, because these teams are really good. I mean, especially postseason push coming, but this postseason push is going to be coming before you know it, and let alone this season ends in exactly this coming weeks. So we got one more month until the actual postseason begins, but if they play like this, they ain't going to go anywhere. They're not going to go anywhere, and not to quote Seinfeld here, but I would say it's not good for business, and it sure as hell ain't good for anybody, going to admit. All right, let's get into Well, let's go into our who's trending up and who's trending down topic of the night here. Well, I would say it's trending up in a positive direction that the Flyers look good in the offseason whenever the draft comes around, and having 7 picks in the first 2 rounds is something to look forward to seeing. So we got a comment here. So Mitch Kovsky joins us. What's going on, Mitch? How you doing, buddy? Thanks for chiming in, man. Check out Mitch Kovsky's show tomorrow afternoon for the Fly Like an Eagle podcast. He'll be talking all things birds. Birds free agency frenzy, so it'll be good to know and see. And even the Eagles got some players here today to look forward to what they have in store for the 2025 season, and looking pretty good for the guys in Midnight Green right now. But the big story in this game, it's only just March 13th, obviously, so the Flyers are the big story in this game here tonight, obviously. So there's not a lot to be who's trending up in this positive direction. I had a lot of positivity to say who was trending up the last couple weeks before this Four Nations face-off. For me, I would go maybe the one guy that I would brought up in my highlight sheet here. I would say Tyson Forster was one guy that's going to be one guy that's been hopefully trending up in a positive direction. Hopefully it'll light up a spark for the Flyers to see what he has in store, and also for other players to see what they have in store too. And for who's trending down, I mean, this is something that I really thought I never thought I would say this, but it's the goaltender situation too. I mean, you think about what happened with Sam Ersson in these last couple games. Even like Ivan Fedotov, we thought he was the guy that could have been easier said than done, but he looked like he couldn't play. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm not saying he was it was just a bad game for him on Saturday. Sam Erson's sake, and also it was a bad game for Ivan Fedotov's sake on Sunday. But the Flyers are just not playing good right now. They're not playing very good hockey right now. Trending down, I think it's probably just everybody except for like the Tyson Forsters, maybe like a Noah Cates here and there. Probably some other players here and there too. But yeah, it's just I'm just trying to figure out who will be trending up in a positive direction, but I know who will be trending down in a negative situation here. But maybe it's, I mean, even like somebody brought up on the post-game show on our sister station, Stream Punk Entertainment, talked about it's John Tortorella's job to get these players back to to try to get them back to where they are. But it kind of annoys me a little bit. I'm not going to lie to you guys. When Andrei Kuzmenko got traded away to the Kings and actually is becoming a better asset for the Kings, especially on that first line with Anze Kopitar, and I think it's somebody else on that. I think it might be like Kevin Fiala or somebody. But you saw what Kuzmenko could brought to the table, and now you think about it. Now you got a couple players that are good players, but they're not great players. I mean, the Dylan Cousins of the world was something that I talked about on the post game too, along with my buddy of mine from the Past and F Sports show of Joey Marks would have alluded to, said yes, this was somebody that could have easily turned the team around to make it into a better direction here, but not a lot to be positive about on this Flyers team here and there, but it's kind of hard to talk about a positive, even though there's not a lot to be positive about, especially with this Flyers team, especially what they look like. So enough squandering. Let's go into our injury report for this game here tonight. So if you did not know earlier, this is actually news that came out earlier today, according to, I think, Bill Metzler and Jordan Hall, and also everybody on the Flyers website here. So the injury report, they have lost another key player now too, as well for the Flyers. It's Rasmus Ristolainen, who's going to be, I would be guessing he'll be out for the next couple of weeks or so due to an undisclosed injury. So I would expect he might be shut down probably in the next couple of weeks or so, because nobody knows about the injury, because apparently the NHL doesn't tell you what the injuries are. So I don't know if it's an upper or lower body injury. So that's actually kind of disappointing to hear. Rasmus is going to miss this game because he's a big piece in his Flyers lineup, and now dealing with that undisclosed injury here could probably shut down his season. And also Garnet Hathaway still going to miss a couple games here after being sidelined due to that injury he suffered back against the Penguins around 3 weeks ago. So Rasmus and also Rusto, and Hathaway are going to be out for this game here tonight against Tampa Bay. I think there's so Rasmus is out, so like I said, and Yegor Zamola is going to be back in the lineup tonight after missing Tuesday night's game due to a healthy scratch. All right, let's get into our starting goaltender matchup before we get out of here. So in goal tonight for the Flyers, it will be Sam Ersson once again for the Orange and Black after missing a couple games. Basically, he played on Saturday. That was 5 days ago against the Kraken, and it did not play very well. But his record continues to be a big storyline. And now, after having a very good record before the Four Nations face-off, he looked like he is starting to have some fatigueness in his game. And right now, looks to me that it's going to be another big topic in this game here tonight. But his record is still a winning record for now, obviously. So he has an 18-12-4 record and has a goals against average of 2.97. And for Tampa Bay tonight, it will be not Andrei Vasilevsky, but it will be Jonas Johansson in goal tonight for the Tampa Bay Lightning. And he has a record of 7-5-1 this season and has a goals against average of 3.15. So Ersson for the Flyers, Johansson in goal for the Lightning. And for my final predictions in this game here tonight, I just hope there's a better outcome in this game. I don't want to you can probably see in the sound of my voice, I'm kind of getting to the point now. I'm thinking like, okay, this 7-game homestand ends on Saturday afternoon or Saturday night rather, and basically you would have thought that this would have been something to really look forward to seeing. Obviously, you would have thought the 7-game homestand would have probably gave a little juice to this team, and it's just been really, really, I wouldn't say sad, I wouldn't say exhausting, but it's been very, very, I guess you can say disintegrating, to say the least, about how they have played. And frankly, I mean, just show a little effort tonight. If you're not going to play well against Tampa Bay, at least just show a little effort just to show that you have a little bit of fight in you. I mean, it's getting to the point now. I'm not saying it's unwatchable like the other team that plays in that same arena, but just show me something that you have. Just show me something that you have a little bit of a fight, okay? I mean, sure, you'll probably not make the postseason this year for, once again, another year of a disappointment without no Flyers postseason hockey, but you just got to show me something to find out what you're made of, okay? It's just, I mean, now if you just want to just tank the rest of the year and just get a better draft pick, that's fine too, but you got seven picks in a matter of the first 2 rounds. I just need to see something out of this Flyers team here tonight. And people are going to say, well, it's the Lightning, and the Lightning are a really good team. And then they got Carolina coming in just right after tonight, taking on the Flyers on Saturday night in South Philadelphia. But just, I mean, if you just show me a little effort tonight, just show me that you actually care about winning and just, like I said, just show me a little bit of effort tonight. If it's not, it's just really disappointing sometimes to be a Flyers fan, to say the least, too. But I mean, if they can find a little bit of effort here tonight, that will be a little bit of a boost to go into the last game of this homestand. And right after the Hurricanes on Saturday and right after the Lightning here tonight, they play Tampa Bay once again on Monday night against the Hurricanes. Monday night against Tampa Bay, excuse me. And that will be a St. Patrick's Day game. And I would hope maybe something to be positive about along the way, too. But enough squandering. That is a wrap for the Hockey Night on Board Flyers pregame show. But remember to stay tuned after the game for the Third Line Joint Flyers postgame show with my colleague Pat Bernard and also Pavel got you covered on this important night right after the game goes final, and hopefully a better win tonight. So Pat and Pavel got you covered immediately after the game and when the clock hits 0 after this game here tonight. Well, I'll be back again, hopefully on Saturday night when the Flyers take on the Hurricanes. I got double duty that night. I got the Flyers pregame show at 6:30, 7 o'clock puck drop, and I'll be back for the postgame show with, I think, Joey Marks that night. So I will be sure I'll be back for that along the way as well. But anyways, thanks a lot for joining me tonight on this very important program, and thanks for everybody for chiming into our post here. So if you have anything to say about these upcoming matchups, please do. You can follow me on your social media platforms, and also you can follow me, like I said, on the Hockey Night on Board Flyers pregame show, Patterson App Sports Show, everything about that included. So Until then, thanks a lot for joining me here tonight. So enjoy the game, everybody. And this has been the Hockey Night on Board Flyers pregame show. And I'm your host, James Scorza, saying thanks for watching. And until then, we'll see you next time and hopefully a better outcome for the Flyers. Good night, everybody.